everyone. Hello. Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm super excited for you to join Streams of Collective Consciousness. It is a Friday and it's 4 p.m. Central Time. I always go live Tuesdays and Fridays, so I'm super excited that you're here. I'm Ellie, if you're not familiar, and yeah, today we're going to talk about sustainable fashion news, environmentalism, and social justice news as well. So yes, let's get into it. So to show you how the live stream actually functions, this is how it goes. Yes. Let me raise this up a bit so you can hear me a bit better. Okay, so basically at 4 p.m. Central Time, I just settle in, do my little introduction, which is right now, and then we get into the news. I usually talk about sustainable fashion news first, and then I try to take a little break here and there, and then I talk about videos, fashion shows, around sustainable fashion, any community submissions. If you ever want to submit something for me to talk about, the form will be here. It is a link to my website. You fill out the form, and then I talk about what you have submitted in my next stream. So because it's Friday, my next stream is Tuesday. So you can always fill that out. And then I end off with any social justice news, any environmental related news, any positive news, I'm here for it. And then I try to end off with some fashion gaming. So that's how it flows every Tuesday and Friday, like 4 to 6:30 Central Time. And then if you want to support me, all my social medias are here. Let me check that audio, but this is a bit about me while you wait. Alrighty. Alright. So you can also join the Slack if you ever want to be part of the community. You can also write for my sustainable fashion blog. And then you can also support my Substack newsletter. It's going to come out soon. I always say soon, but I swear I'm working on it. And then, yeah, I have an eBay, Depop, if you ever want to support me or want to, buy some cool vintage clothing. The links will be in my description. I upload new pieces every Tuesday and Thursday. And then working on like a Substack membership and like a YouTube sub tier that's in the works. But in terms of personal news, if you know me, I'm someone that's currently trying to find a job. So I actually did an interview today at 9:30 on a Friday. Yes, it was early. It's to be like a receptionist for like a senior center. It'll be like part-time, minimum wage, but hopefully I get it because I really do need the money. I then did a guest episode for my podcast where I had a guest in. Her name was Poppy Martinez. We talked about decolonizing fashion, which was super nice. So that will come out like mid-March. I am currently in the works of 3 other videos, so I wish it could come out sooner, but it's not going to come out so soon as I want it to be. And then I was supposed to do another interview at 3:30, but then I was like, no, I think this is a scam job interview because they automated the entire onboarding interview setup, and I was like, wait, I'm gonna get my data robbed right now if I join. So I didn't end up going to that. I went outside, sat, enjoyed the sun. It's finally spring here in Illinois, and just was enjoying the vibes. I also was doing a little like audio journaling. I like put on my voice memo on my phone and I just talk. So I did that for a couple of minutes, and then now I'm here. So there's a lot of news today. I'm super excited, and let's get into it. So like I said, I always start off with sustainable fashion news. So I'm gonna first get into Diesel's runway show that happened recently, and they had this really cool graffiti installation. But let me check the audio one more time before we get into it. Okay. So to get into it, okay. Okay, so here we have this news, and we're gonna take a look at the magazine Hype Bay, which features and explains the show. So basically, it's been dubbed the biggest graffiti installation ever. And here's everything we need to know about the artist behind the moment. So basically, Diesel, I don't know how to say it. How do you say this brand? But basically, it's under Glenn Martin's creative vision, and it's the epitome of go hard or go home. In recent years, the revived brand has debuted the most insane set design to complement Martin's sex-positive vision for Fashion Week 2025 in his last show before moving on to luxury fashion house Maison Margiela. Martins helps the brand set a new world record, and it amplifies creatives all over the world. So cool. Let's take a look at it. It's a very bold statement for sure to make in a fashion show. I've never seen this before. I wonder what the inspiration was. I know they said they were like sex positive, but it was first exhibited in the spring and summer 2023 show. Oh, so he's done it before, and actually set a Guinness World Record for the inflatable sculpture, which is now covered in graffiti. And it's really bringing underground graffiti culture to the forefront. That's super cool. It's a bit explicit, but I mean, the artistry is definitely there for sure. So it features a bunch of professional and amateur graffiti artists from China, India, Italy, Japan, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and the USA. And the artists were given complete freedom to express themselves in their work. So we should definitely see if there's a runway show we can take a look at, because I've not seen the show and I'm like super excited to see it. FW 25. Okay, here's this. Oh my god, it looks so cool. Okay. It was in the Milan Fashion Week. So let's take a look. I'm so tempted to look at the entire fashion show. Oh my god, that's so cool. Let's see what music they did. Okay, yeah, we're not listening to that. Sounds like techno destruction of the mind. I don't know what that sound is. It was itching my brain wrong. Oh my gosh, trans love, yes. The shorts are very short, but I love the graffiti. Make love. I love all the little sayings. Wanted. Fango. Is that the artist? Trans. I love this here. The flowers. I wonder what's happening with the eye contacts. Why? I like the bag. It looks like a game console. See, the hair and the lips are very colorful and eccentric, but then you have like the graffiti background, and it just, the actual collection itself doesn't really make that much sense. It's really boring, like a boring collection, but like the hair and the lips are interesting. I love this though. This is beautiful. I've never really thought that graffiti is a nuisance. I've always seen it as like a really cool thing, but you definitely shouldn't graffiti buildings that are not yours. This is such a game console. I'm trying to keep it PG-13. But yes, this collection is so interesting. The actual clothing don't match the background, but I'm not complaining. It's just, it's interesting to see the difference. I actually really like this one. My mic sounds so distant for some reason. It must be hard to walk on the fabric. Oh, that's so pretty. I love the outfit. Can skip forward? Oh, what the heck happened to him? Oh gosh. Oh yeah, I saw in a newspaper that the book crack is back in. I don't agree. I don't want that. Okay, here's the full collection. I honestly feel like it's a very interesting fashion show and backdrop, to say the least. I feel like the collection itself is not as cohesive with the colorful background, like it's all grays. The eye contacts are an interesting use to add like a depth to the otherwise gray collection, but I love how they're doing this. They're incorporating a lot of art, creativity. I'm not sure if they actually cared about sustainability or ethics within this fashion show. I kind of doubt it, but I like the trans support within this fashion show. To be honest, I'm kind of getting FOMO. Like, I want to be there. Like, I want to be there. I feel like it's like a Halloween, a luxury fashion show, to be honest. That's the vibes. My man. You did that. Okay. So that was this brand's fashion show for Milan Fashion Week. Very interesting. Very interesting. I wonder what statements they made about this show. The visuals are crazy. They go hard. So they mix denim, utility, pop, and artisanal elements to subvert tradition. So I think there is some artisanal elements to their collection, which is really cool to see. Very pretty. I wouldn't really wear them myself, but very pretty. I swear though, I've seen most of these pieces at the Goodwill bins. I think everything is already in existence. I feel like we can just cut stuff up and mix things, and we're gonna look like this. If we add some French to a coat, if we like wear the Levi's, put on some weird shoes and paint our face, we are a luxury fashion. It's a lot of layering. They also showed a lot of butt cracks, which I'm not in agreement with. Like, I'm not gonna look at those. It was a 10-piece capsule that they did for the Global Street Arts Collective. I don't know what this is about. They made a capsule collection apparently. Apparently they made a capsule collection. It's cool. I feel like we can take a graffiti can and just do this on our own clothing. I feel like it could be a very easy upcycled project, to be honest. I feel like I can do this with a marker or something. I definitely did this to a shirt when I was a kid. Okay, well, that was a really cool fashion show that I've been seeing on social media a lot, and it's really awesome that they have like artisanal elements into it, and I definitely do think we can upcycle it, or at least some of the things that we can upcycle. And then I also saw that there's been like vintage pieces being introduced in fashion shows, so this really captured my attention. It's a vintage Givenchy rework jacket for this designer. So it's basically upcycled. Isn't it beautiful? I'm just staring at it. Okay. I think this is the only thing they upcycled. I didn't really see anything else. But let me see if I can find any more information. Oh no. I keep trying to put Google in. Oh gosh. But I forget that I'm trying to use this website. Okay. I always go to Google to find stuff, but I don't think I'm going to find really anything else. Okay. But no, I didn't find anything else. I just saw that on this Instagram post for some reason, and I found it really captivating. I really do think we need to upcycle more stuff within fashion shows. That would be so interesting and cool to see if we did it on a more routine basis. Like, can you imagine every single fashion designer upcycling past luxury items and introducing it into their own collection? That would be amazing. Okay, so to move on as well, unfortunately, one of my favorite groups is closing down. So if you don't know, Ethical Influencers is like a network for ethical fashion influencers, for ethical, sustainable, just people interested in like sustainable content, you can say, to like put an umbrella term under it, have been joining this Ethical Influencers group. It's run or was run by Besma, who is herself a sustainable fashion creator. And unfortunately, it's going to close. So if you're not familiar with Besma, this is her. She is such a great blogger. I love her blog. I love her social media. She is always so on top of it. I've been following her for years. So please send her some love. Follow her if you don't already. But she is the queen of sustainable fashion in my eyes. But yeah, unfortunately, she did have to close down her organization, where she would basically connect influencers together to have opportunities to connect with like brands and other resources that they otherwise wouldn't have. So she's been going through a lot of like health problems, which I totally makes sense why she would close this down. But it's basically like a 7-year project that she's been doing this, and basically she wanted it to be a digital community doing good. And yeah, so she's been thinking about this a lot. She says here that she's been considering this decision for the last 6 months. And she really believes in that collectivizing and working together as a community is so much more powerful than going about it alone. So she's been really networking and connecting people together. There's like over 100 creators around the world that have, you know, applied and joined, which is amazing to see. And now there's more than 1,300 live members from 65 different countries. They've done over 400 campaigns. But this is not the end, I feel like, but the start for more people to step up, for more people to take more action. So even though this is like the end for her, I know that things will continue to, unfold. So a loss in a way, but understandable given how difficult it is to do content creation that's sustainable and ethical and still try to hold true to your values in the process. And she even managed to build a whole community in her journey. So if you want to support her, you can support her by giving her like a cup of coffee at this site called ko/fi. And so that's her information. And then if you want to reach out to her email is besma@curiouslyconscious.com. But she's an amazing content creator, amazing leader in sustainable fashion. So sad to see her go in terms of this project, but she again will be doing so many other projects in the future on her own. So yeah, check out her website. It's Curiously Conscious. And I really like her website. It's very like personal and reflective, fashion forward, as you can see here, very fashionable. I love her website. I love her website so much. So, and she's like the top blogger in the UK. So she's a queen. She's a queen. Okay, so to move on, I also happened to see that Hugo Boss is actually doing like sustainable clothing, which I kind of found confusing because I thought they were like a more like luxury brand that didn't care about this stuff. But basically they're creating men's tailored looks using recycled cellulose yarn. Unfortunately, I'm like gatekept from reading the entire article because I don't have the subscription. But basically, they have a new site called Hugo Forward, which is a platform that highlights innovations, and it has like limited drops. So we can look at that. Look at Hugo Forward. Okay, here it is. So it's going to introduce a next level effort in tailoring for a new generation of bold style. So basically it's like a go-to tailored wardrobe that they're curating. Let's see. And it's called Hugo Forward. When I looked it up, there was no website. But they are going to drop 3 pieces. It's going to be 3 tailored styles around the plant-based material called HEIQ. I don't know what that means, but they're basically using like a cellulose yarn made from wood pulp. I actually covered in a video that I uploaded last Sunday that just because something is from like wood pulp doesn't necessarily make it sustainable, because it needs to be from a tree. And if you like use a tree for clothing, the tree obviously has to like be cut down, and that causes deforestation. So I don't really support like wood pulp alternatives to like polyester because of its deforestation. So I mean, I don't really think this is a huge improvement, but they are trying to give like alternatives. Hugo is like trying to build some hype on their social medias, collaborating with influencers. We can take a look at that, but I don't really think this is a huge win. Like wood-based capsule collections is not, I don't think we really need this at the end of the day. Is this it? Yeah, it's called Hugo Forward. Suits made with innovative wood pulp. I think they are targeting Gen Z. Is this a content creator or something? Mexico City. Yeah, I think he's like a content creator. Well, we don't really need it, but they're trying to do something, I guess. Is this another one? Yeah, Hugo forward. Let's watch this.
Hugo tailoring styles made with high Q ionic. Making moves to put microplastics in the past. Hugo forward. From wood
Hugo
pulp
forward.
to fiber.
Her voice seems so monotone. Hugo forward.
Hugo tailoring styles made with high Q ionic. Making moves to put microplastics in the past. Hugo forward. From
That's a good description. I mean, they don't really talk about the sustainability aspect on social media. I think they're really targeting Gen Z and making like sustainability cool, but not explicitly talking about it. But it is a spring and summer 2025 collection that will be available on their stores. So I think it's just another incentive to like sell more things, to be honest. But I don't really feel like it's gonna make a huge difference within sustainable fashion. Like if it's causing deforestation to get the wood pulp to make the clothing, then I think this is more of a L move for Hugo Boss versus like making an actual sustainable alternative. So I don't agree. But it's interesting how they like put a narrative that's going to be like the next generation of bold style, and they make it like cool by combining the sneakers and like having this like casual styling to things. But yeah, I don't really think wood pulp alternatives are that great. Okay, so to move on, we're going to talk about how there is like next gen vegan fashion, and it's coming from an unlikely ally. This article is by Fashion Dive. So basically the article explains that there is an alternative material that's being marketed, but often untapped. And this material itself is, let me see. Yeah, I think it's mushroom, isn't it? Oh no, they're talking about vegan materials. Could be an alternative to plastic, especially as more people are becoming vegan, and it's a new way of life. So it says plants and the power technology are putting new alternative materials into the spotlight. Not only are they addressing the ethical and environmental concerns associated with traditional leather and other synthetic-based leather substitutes, they're also opening up an interesting and lucrative opportunity for farmers. So there is opportunity for farmers to actually get involved. So Stella McCartney, for example, she was the one that established and advocated for sustainable vegan fashion, and she announced partnerships in the past to pioneer new leather that was crafted by wine production byproducts, which is super interesting. And then there's been other companies that have made handbags from like plant-based cacti leather. There's been bags made from like apple leather, bags from mushroom leather. So there is a lot of alternatives in terms of like using vegan, you can say, materials to make vegan fashion, but we still do need to think about whether that's healthy for the earth or not. And farmers can make money by creating like a vegan fashion, you can say. But I don't know if it would be profitable immediately. That's a question I still have to see. But it's really good that like fashion magazines and like fashion experts, quote unquote experts, are thinking about how to create like alternatives. I don't necessarily think we need like a cacti leather bags. That's just my personal opinion. But this article is very interesting because, like, when was the last time you thought about the farmer's role in sustainability in the industry? Like, I don't go around thinking about that, to be honest. But there could be, you know, ethical, sustainable, vegan affiliated or at least interested farmers. They themselves, I don't think, really have to be vegan, I feel like, to create vegan fashion. I think maybe it can just be like a business profit. But hopefully farmers who care about sustainable fashion, like, don't just make more and more materials to sell to brands, because that would just make more stuff. But yeah, I've never really come to think about this fashion, farming, and the future. But I honestly don't think we need more cacti leather. I really don't. But it's an interesting concept. I wonder how you can even create like a vegan fashion farm. Can you imagine if you call yourself a vegan fashion farmer? All my materials I grow make a vegan fashion. That'd be very interesting. Okay. I'm gonna put the background music again. Okay, so to move on, sadly, one of my queens passed away. Michelle, she had a liver transplant actually a couple months before her death. And yeah, this is very unfortunate. I was raised with her on the television. Like, I loved Fashion Girl or Gossip Girl. I was like a fashion girl to the core. Like, I wanted to be her character. So this was actually really sad to see. Yeah, it's very unfortunate. She like really shaped my interest in fashion. I mean, she was like not a good character. Like her character was not like the nicest, but the looks, man, the vibes, immaculate. So I'm really sorry to see her go. So we should watch this e-news to see the news about her, about what happened.
More details about Michelle Trachtenberg's final days are being uncovered. In the months leading up to her passing, the Gossip Girl alum underwent a liver transplant, or the surgical procedure where a diseased or damaged liver is replaced with a healthy liver from a donor, according to multiple outlets. Police sources also told ABC News that she may have been experiencing complications due to the surgery, which is usually performed as a way to treat people with chronic conditions, including hepatitis B and C, cirrhosis, scarring of the liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease (NALD), and alcohol-related liver disease per Mayo Clinic. Possible complications from liver transplants include blood clots or other blood vessel issues and failure of the donated liver, as well as chest, urine, and abdominal infections, according to NHS Blood and Transplant. However, there is no foul play or criminality suspected in Trachtenberg's death at this time. The New York Police Department confirmed to E! News February 26th. The NYPD added in its statement, "The medical examiner will determine the cause of death. The investigation remains ongoing." Trachtenberg was found unconscious and unresponsive by emergency medical services in her New York City apartment on February 26th, after police responded to a 911 call around 8 a.m. local time. Her mother was the one to phone for help, multiple sources told ABC News. Shortly after the officer's arrival, EMS pronounced Trachtenberg dead. She was 39. In the wake of her passing, the Harriet the Spy Star's rep spoke out to ask for privacy for her family and loved ones during the challenging time. Her rep statement to E! read, "The family requests privacy for their loss. There are no further details at this time."
It's very unfortunate and very sad. I, like I said, was raised by her in a way because I would watch her on television. I was such a fan of Gossip Girl. I really was influenced by the whole cast, to be honest. And 39 is so young. It's so young. And so I can't even imagine like what she was going through, especially with all these health conditions and concerns that she had been experiencing months beforehand, and maybe for longer. I personally don't know her. I haven't really followed her journey after I would watch her on television, but it's, again, really unfortunate, and hopefully there's no foul play. But yeah, this happened like 2 days ago, and it's been like in my mind for quite a while. It's, life is so fragile. It's so fragile, but yeah. Hopefully her family is doing okay. Yes. Okay, so to move on, there has been a lot of magazines coming out with more conversations about sustainability than I've ever seen ever before. And one of the ones that caught my eye was a magazine called Mu Wave Mag. And basically it talks about fashion communication in the digital era and the rise of artistic and vintage storytelling. I'm going to play the background music. It's a very interesting image. But basically, this article explores fashion communication and how it's like transformed within the digital era that we are currently in. I feel like a lot of times we're speaking our messages through visuals by how people perceive us, basically. And I think artistic storytelling is something that's subliminal, but also is like what we call basically branding of ourselves. Like, people come to understand us by how we look, how we dress, how we speak, how we create a YouTube video or a reel, or like whatever we post online is basically telling a story in itself. And I think brands are kind of thinking about this a bit more, since ads are such a huge part of how they reach people to hopefully then buy their collections. But yeah, like, I don't really see a lot of like brands investing their time into magazines anymore. I don't remember the last time I actually opened a magazine. There also used to be a lot of like fashion commercials, which this touches upon, but now like we're turning more towards social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, that really just infiltrate our minds all the time, especially as we're more and more online. So fashion definitely has become more visual, more content driven. I think it's more so now videos than ever before, because like with magazines, it used to be just like one image that would fill up like the entire magazine page. And I remember like staring at these images being like, oh my God, like I love this shirt. And I would imagine what was happening. I would put the context into the image. But now with like social media and like short form videos, there's more of a way to not only illustrate like the visual, but also like kind of tell a story in a very short time frame, like a couple seconds, to be honest. What I found interesting when I was reading this article is that brands are now incorporating more grainy film textures, VHS style footages, analog inspired editing to basically evoke a sense of nostalgia. And these artistic choices create an emotional connection with viewers to remind them of home videos, classic cinema, and the simplicity of past decades. So I found that very interesting. I feel like we all want to go back to like the past, the good old days, you can say. So I'm not super surprised that they're taking this angle. But yeah, they were also explaining that minimalism is another major shift in the fashion industry. So basically stripping away distractions, focusing on the essence of the message, allowing basically fashion to speak for themselves. So basically like silent campaigns, which I feel like TikTok really does a good job at, because honestly, we find a lot of people like dancing to TikToks, or we find them flaunting their haul, and then all you get to do is like admire like the clothing itself. So I think the music really does help with creating emotion and like just helping you focus on the item itself. It may not necessarily like help the fashion industry in the long run, obviously, but yeah, it's also interesting how there's been more like silent campaigns, like black and white photography is being used more. There's more like new artistic expressions in fashion marketing. I feel like the first fashion show that we saw, the Diesel one, is a good example, like using a lot of colors, experimenting with aesthetics. Mixed media is essentially what we saw Diesel do. Anything to really capture our attention to what can otherwise be a very standard or like quote unquote boring collection. So I honestly just see more brands going to social media and creating more content. I think Gen Z will probably be able to be employed in this sphere, especially because we were like raised online, have a lot of experience, you know, creating content from our exposure from it over and over again. So I feel like more so than ever before, we're gonna have like fashion communication experts or fashion storytelling, you know, videographers, fashion, you know, creative fashion photographers, stuff like that. Also, like technology, it mentioned is something that we need to consider, especially with AI coming in. So I think there is going to be like a mix of like vintage aesthetics with like fashion forward tech incorporated into that somehow. So augmented reality, like 3D visuals, I think will also take on a life of its own. And I feel like Gen Z are going to be the ones that are going to like basically spearhead this, and really like push how we see and understand fashion going forward. But yeah, I do think like minimalist storytelling and artistic abstraction has always like been part of the fashion industry. I feel like hauls are such an important example of minimalist storytelling, because like what's really the story you're telling except, hey, I bought this, look at how pretty it is, look at the piece, and then move on. Like there is not a lot of context there. So minimalist storytelling is, it gets straight to the point. There's not a lot of like if, buts, or gray areas in there. You just kind of see it, you take it, you move on. And I feel like that kind of gets the point across. And with the person that supposedly is like your friend showing you the haul, people kind of trust it. But I mean, we don't need more hauls. Even if the person does feel like a friend, like we don't need no more fashion hauls. We don't need more people dancing to music and showing us their stuff. But I feel like there's just going to be a lot more strategies and pushing us to buy and buy and buy, which is really unfair. Like we don't need more stuff to be produced. Like we have enough clothing to clothe the next 6 generations, to be honest. So I think this is just a testament that more brands are going to get more creative and use our talent as young, skilled, you know, talented people to continue pushing for more consumerism than ever before, especially with AI emerging and all the data that they're collecting from us. But hopefully the next wave of fashion creatives can care more about sustainability and ethics as they find jobs and stuff. But I also want to mention now that there has been a lot of like great videos that I've been watching on YouTube recently that showcases how people upcycle items, how they give life to old items essentially. And it's actually coming from a Japanese news site called NHK World/Japan. I found this video. I found this video about repair shops, and I found another one too. Yeah, I found another one that I wanted to show you, but I'll definitely watch one of those. But before we get into that, I want to talk about how there's a thrifting store, a thrift store. There you go, thrift store. That's being run by college students at UConn. I think it's Connecticut. UConn. Hi Marissa, happy Friday. So the thrift store is called the UConn. Oh yeah, the University of Connecticut runs a thrift store called Thrift Den, and it was launched actually this semester, which is really cool. And it basically provides students with on-campus goods for free, and it's a way to sustainably thrift, which is really cool. And it's in the basement of the Family Studies building, which is nice. So it features secondhand clothing that students can get for free. And this is coming from the branch of the Office of Sustainability of the college, and has the goal of promoting more sustainable fashion on campus. Honestly, this is so amazing. And I feel like the fashion merchandising and fashion design students are like really getting hands-on experience, and they can put this on their resume, which is another plus. And it says the shop was founded by Tina NGO. I don't know how to say this. Neo, a 6th semester business management major, and Clara, a 6th semester communications major, as a successor to the UConn swap shop. I think this is them. So Tina explained that she wanted to create a better business model after the shortcomings of the swap shop, which forced it to close. So she says that the swap shop closed because the model was you have to give something to get something, and we ran into a lot of tax compliance issues with that. So last semester, I decided to take over the project and work with a team to restructure the framework and try to figure out a way to make it more sustainable. Interesting. I like Tina. I like her vibes. She takes initiative. So Tina describes the shop as a food pantry, but for clothes. Yeah, Marissa, it's super incredible. I love this concept, a food pantry, but for clothes, as the shop features a variety of different clothes and styles, contrasting it from other pop-up thrift stores on campus. It seems like there's a lot of energy on sustainable fashion if there's like other pop-up thrift stores, which is really cool to see, but it seems like they have competition, which is rare, I feel like, for college campuses. And then she further explained that there is a lot of clothing on campus that's more professional wear, which is great. Let's see. But something that we really take pride in is we always have a different way of clothing, or a different variety of clothing. We have a lot of casual wear, but also formal gowns and stuff like that. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, they have a repair cafe. Oh my gosh, they're so cool. I need this in my life. I need to do this now. I want to be part of their group. I want to go back to college. So all the items featured in the shop are donated, and the founders emphasize that they check all the donations to ensure that the shop features the highest quality items. Oh my gosh, they're such queens. I would love to interview them. I have a sustainable fashion podcast called Sussy Talks, and if I can interview them, this is gonna make my whole life, because I am such a fan. Like, I haven't been a fan of someone for a long time. These are queens. Oh my gosh, I think I saw their social media here. I think I'm gonna actually reach out to them soon. Like, I would love to hear from them. These are like the stories I love to see and uplift versus like other things. Oh, they have a whole donation process. So clothes that you don't want / no longer fit are accepted. Gently worn shoes, bags, belts, jewelry, and other accessories. We prefer clean / freshly laundered items. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. So they don't accept underwear, swimwear. I said that wrong. Swimwear. Items with holes, items with stains. UConn merch. Oh, they have a licensing issue. That's kind of ironic because they go to that school. Interesting though. Teo says, bring in your clothes at any point during our open hours and place them in the bin outside of the door before you walk in. Or as you walk in. Oh my gosh. Wait, I want to see the video. Welcome to the Thrift Den. Oh my gosh, this is so cute.
Show me how you care. Tell me how
Thrift Den is a branch of the Office of Sustainability.
we roll.
like one item per week. Thursdays and Fridays 4 to 6, Sundays 2 to 4. So they can grab one item a week, and their hours are very limited. It's like Thursday and Friday 4 to 6, and then Saturdays like 2 to 4, I think. But that's so cool. Marissa says, what if the interior design department had this at colleges? I know so many students just leave their couches in a dump at the end of the semester, and so many can't afford things. I really hope you get to interview them. So inspiring. Yeah, I wonder if the interior design departments had this at colleges. I feel like this could be totally doable if there's like an open space. They are using the basement of a building that I think was not being used. So I wonder if other colleges have like an empty basement or empty space, or like even just like a big room that isn't really being utilized. Because honestly, I went to a private small liberal arts college, and we had this huge basement for the fashion department in itself. Like all our classes were in the basement of a building, which was kind of depressing, but there were so many rooms next to us that wasn't being used that could have been a thrift store. Now that you think about it, now that I've been exposed to this, like if I had seen this when I was a college student, I probably would have pushed for it. But I think it like takes initiative from students that want to do this. Like I think she took it on and then got, you know, other students involved to make it happen. Then you have to get like the department on board, then you get the building directors on board and make sure it's safe. Then you have to market it, get it approved by everyone. I feel like there's just a lot of approvals, to be honest. I don't think marketing is that difficult, especially when there's like cash-strapped students needing stuff all the time. I wonder why they decided only on one item every week, but it's completely free, student run. Our mission is to provide students with eco-friendly, budget-conscious ways to access apparel while fostering a sense of our culture of sustainability. And they just started. This just launched this semester. So that's super cool. I would love to hear from them. This would be amazing to have them on. Yeah. They're only open very little, but I mean, as college students, I can imagine they're very busy. So this would look great on a resume to prepare you for real life, you can say, or get a taste of business management. So this is amazing. I love it. 100% love. No bad things to say about this. Let me get rid of this tab. Let's continue finishing the article, though I didn't finish it. My ADHD is going off the roof tonight. Okay. Okay, so it opened January 30th. And they've estimated that about 300 to 400 students have visited this store so far. Oh my gosh. It's been less than a month and already 300 to 400 students have come. And around 250 of those students have walked away with items in their hand. The first day stood out to them, while turnout being higher than anticipated. The first day, we thought there would be 10 to 15 people, and around 50 to 60 people came in. One of their goals, she says, is to have the shop add collection bins and locations around campus. Oh my gosh, that is such a good idea. And that student union and resident halls also have those, and then that way students can collect more clothing, or they can collect more clothing from students. And she said that a bunch of college students come with more than they can ever wear. Yeah, I think I've seen that common trend that people donate a lot and a lot and a lot, but then they don't take the same amount back. So thrift stores and like donation centers get like filled with stuff that basically overwhelms them, just like the LA fires where people were donating all their fast fashion pieces, that it became a dumping ground for fast fashion. Like who is that gonna help? It just burnt out the volunteers even more in a really bad time. So I think fast fashion management will always be a thing that people need to be creative about, especially because we have so much of it in our closet. And then she was thinking about an idea of recruiting volunteers to assist the 7-member board that runs the shop. They have a 7-member board. These are queens. I love this. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Well, this is like the best news I can read today. Oh my god, I'm such a sustainable fashion nerd. I'm like, this is what will make me happy for the rest of the day. But hopefully they respond back to my message and I can talk to them personally. I would love to conversate. Yeah. Yay. Okay. So basically we shall go into one of these amazing Japanese videos that shows this designer and how she like upcycles clothing. I love her work. Some of her work even has been featured in museums because of how intricate the process is that she does to upcycle them. I wonder if I'm gonna get copyright striked if I like show these videos. So I'm just gonna take the risk. I didn't think about the copyright strike until right now. One time I showed a documentary and I almost got banned. I'll just risk it. It's a 15-minute documentary, but the first bit of it is really, really cool to see. Like, Japan has a whole ethos of upcycling. It's really cool to see.
The Japanese have believed that a life force resides in all creations. Valuing and caring for the things we use, a zero-waste life. Pointing the way to better living for a new era.
これを着てた人には多分私はもう会うことはできなくても服を通じてなんか時間を共有できたりとかまたそれがこう生まれ変わって次の人に
Some of the things are in Japanese. We're gonna have to read it, guys.
この服がこう渡されていくことができる。
Ginza is a center for culture. A limited time display in an area department store. The t-shirts, tote bags and sweatshirts laid out here actually started out as used clothes.
They're so pretty.
They're the creation of Fujisawa Yuki. Using a variety of techniques, she gives new life to old clothes.
着てみてください。もちろんです。お疲れ様です。かわいい。これフランスのヴィンテージなんですけど、70年代とかのもので。
70s vintage from France. That sweater's old.
これいいですね。
A Tokyo backstreet is where we find Fujisawa's studio. Her work begins with the careful repair of old clothing.
心安らぎます。なんかこう穴が開いたものが塞がるみたいなのをなんか見てくとすごいなんかこう癒されます。私結構お直しの時間好きです。
Once mended, the next step is dyeing. She then applies metal foil using the technique of hot stamping to bond it to the fabric, a signature element of her designs.
本来こう弱ってたところがもっと愛おしい場所になったりとか、ヴィンテージ特有のそのダメージとか穴っていうものをこう補修もできて、でさらにその傷跡だった場所に光を当てることができると思ったんですね。
Vintage tote bags she sent out to be dyed have just been returned. Today she'll add metal leaf and lace.
The amount of patience she has is
Before hot
incredible.
stamping, glue is applied.
The intention, I can feel the intention through the screen. Look at the precision, the patience. It's like a meditation.
She does her work at this press. While thinking about the design, she arranges the lace on the surface. She chooses from among 15 different types of metal foil.
You can just feel the love, like all the time she takes for every single piece. ASMR
これはロ
moment.
ゴが可愛らしいものだったので、そのロゴのデザインをこう活かしながらと思って作ってます。
She's finished hot stamping 3 of the bags.
OK です。
If she did TikToks on this, she would go viral. Just like the peeling itself. It's so beautiful. I love this.
レースの後ろから元々のヴィンテージの絵柄も見えていて、このレースの隙間のところにこう箔がこぼれ落ちるみたいに乗るのが
So pretty.
お気に入りの表現です。
I love her color. That's so cute. Yuki.
The label affixed to each bag includes a before photo as well.
She literally writes down or checks off what year it was, the origin of the piece that she's working on. It says reborn, so the current year, and then the technique, so what she actually did on it. There's so much intentionality. And then the picture of how it looked like beforehand. And every single one is stamped with its unique number. Like, I would be in love with this if someone made one for me.
As well as a record of its country of origin and age.
お客さんが手に取った時にもともとこんな柄だったんだとか、お客様の手元に届くまでのこう旅の記録が一緒に体験できるっていう、その次の人のための記録っていう意味合いが多いですね。取っといてほしいなって思います。しおりとかにしてほしいなって。
She said it's a sort of bookmark in time. That is literally so beautiful in how we can think about upcycling. And that's what it turned into. So cute.
New shine for an old tote bag.
Yay.
Fujisawa has something she truly treasures. On this shelf of clothing she's gathered over the last 10 years is her collection of vintage one-pieces.
どれもお気に入りだからどれを見せるか悩みます。
Once covered in old dirt and dust, they've been washed and bleached. Nearly 100
She's
years
like
old,
100
this cotton
100 years
dress
old
came
garment.
from Europe. Old
Can you
clothing like
imagine
this
a
is often
100-year-old?
embroidered with the owner's initials.
同じこう刺繍を入れていても自分の名前の全然デザインが違ったりと
The
か、入
design
れる場
and
所も違
location is
ったり
different for
で
everyone.
この人はそのイニシャルのドットみたいなのをこう線で区切って青いステッチを入れてたりとか、きっとすごくおしゃれをするのが好きだった人なんだろうなっていうのを思ったりします。
Old clothing holds the memories of someone unknown.
本当はそのヴィンテージでその私
That kind of haunts me because I've worked in thrift stores. Old clothing holds the memories of the people that wore it. I have a lot of memories in my room. It's kind of creepy to think about. How many memories, how many people are following me with their memories when I work at a thrift store is a lot. Especially if someone has owned something for like years and years and years, and maybe someone else owned it before them. There's so many unknown lives one garment can have that we'll never know because it's not tagged anywhere, like there's no information anywhere. And then she's the one that's like reworking it to give it more memories for the next person that comes. That's so cool.
私の手元に来るっていうことは元の持ち主が手放してるっていうことで、こう一回流れていったものがこう巡り巡ってたどり着いて、でそこからまた新しい色合いになって次の人に渡っていくみたいなところをお手伝いしてるっていう気持ちが強いです。
So wholesome.
The daughter of a fashion designer, Fujisawa grew up wearing pretty new clothes. It wasn't until she studied textile design at university that she became interested in old clothes.
でそれまで自分自身その古着自体を私服として着たことはなかったんですよ。逆にその古着がすごい怖いなと思っていて、古着屋さんに行くと独特な匂いがあったりとか。
I just want to know, why do thrift stores smell a certain way? And they all smell like their own certain way, if that makes sense. Like one thrift store smells a certain way versus another one. Goodwill has almost specialized in creating their own unique thrift store scent. I hope you know what I'm talking about, or maybe I don't hope that you know what I'm talking about. But every time you go to like a Goodwill store, they all smell the same. I wonder if it's like a spray or something is happening. But like they give a musk. They've created their own musk. I think I need to research it. Goodwill vanilla. It's like a vanilla scent. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? But yeah, I do agree. Thrift stores have their own scent. I know the one that I used to work at, it was a small one in Montana. We used a lot of humidifiers or a clean air machines. I don't know what you call those. It was a machine that cleaned the air, and it was on non-stop. Their stores are smelly.
こうシミがついてたりすると、なんかこういつついたシミなんだろうとか。
However, when she started to use old clothing for material in school, she discovered its charm.
自分の手元に来た時はちょっとこう力がなくてヨレッとしちゃってるものがこうそれを綺麗な色に染め替えたり、こう新しく衣装を加えるとこう本当に生まれ変わるみたいな瞬間があって、こうそこにあるものをこう再活用して作っていくみたいなのは多分自分がこう仕事をしてて心地いいんだと思います。
Finding new uses for what's already around is my true calling. That's so beautiful. Oh, she's such a queen. I love her.
One of her pieces has made its way back to her studio.
Just the way that she moves, you can see the patience and the love and dedication she has for her craft. Like, she takes everything so slowly, so patiently. Like, you can feel it through the video.
Its owner has asked Fujisawa to rework her magic on it.
I love the sleeves. The little gold details.
She happily reprocesses any items she's sold.
5年前に買った時の気分と今の気分って少し違うんじゃないかなと思って、そこからそのオーダーのリペアっていう形でお客様にヒアリングしながら、その時の気持ちに合わせて育てながらお直ししていくっていうのを始めました。
The cardigan's owner has asked her to add metal foil.
Yes, girl, go, go. Look at her focus. She's locked in. She's locked in.
The customer is excited to see her cardigan's new look.
すごい場所ごとに色が変わっててすごい綺麗。
Oh, that's so cool. Very shiny.
もともととっても気に入ってたんですけど、なんかこう後ろ姿にちょっとなんか光が差してる感じというか、なんかすごくまた新たに自分の思いも乗せてもらえたのがすごく嬉しいなと思います。
She's so happy with it. You can tell she likes teal with the art piece behind her.
Recently, Fujisawa has been asked to collaborate with a variety of different artists. Murata Sayaka is a best-selling author.
She's locked in.
Her brilliant novels have helped overturn people's unconscious stereotypes, winning a number of literary awards.
Okay, I kind of skip forward.
私の記憶っていうものがユキさんの中で発酵して化学変化を起こして全く違うものとしてなんか美しく存在しているというか、ユキさんの中で自分の記憶が重なり合って形になって。
It's very beautiful work that the designer is doing. Let's go to the end part of it here. Okay.
自分が作ったものが何十年か後に飲みの市とかに置いてあって、なんかまた別の人がなんかこの不思議なセーターは何だろうって思って手に取ってくれたりとか、なんかそんな場面。
Oh, she wants her stuff to be sold at a flea market in years to come. To watch someone hold it and wonder about the story behind it. Oh.
が訪れたらいいなって思います。
So cute. What the heck? I do love the tags too, Marissa. They're so intentional. Okay, well that was that. I highly encourage you watching this site called NHK World/Japan. They have a lot of docu-series / news series. There's another one. I think I'm gonna save it. Oh, I put the mic too close to my mouth. But there's another one that talks about repair cafes, which is actually what the University of Connecticut's thrift store is doing. They have their own repair shop, which is basically where people come in and can bring broken or ripped items, and then volunteers can fix it for free or at a low cost. So this is a documentary exploring the repair renaissance in Japan. and how it brings community and brings volunteers together and like helps everyone, you know, get a second life in their items than just throwing it away and perpetuating more consumerism and more, you know, production. So I think we'll save that for next week. But let's move on. I actually saw that there was a court issue with Lululemon recently, which gets into like their greenwashing. They've been in some legal battles with their greenwashing practices or actions. I got gatekeeped from Sourcing Journal when I came across this article, so I wonder if there's like anything on YouTube or there's another article. Okay, so let's watch this.
Lululemon is a Canadian-American multinational premium athletic wear brand. It was founded in 1998 as a retailer of yoga pants and other yoga wear. Since then, it has also expanded to sell athletic wear, lifestyle apparel, accessories, and personal care products. Their valuation? A casual $48 billion. That's right, with a B, they've got 711 stores across 20-plus countries. And they even teamed up with the Canadian Olympic team in 2024, putting their logo in front of millions worldwide. In an attempt to show their commitment to sustainability, Lululemon launched a bold environmental campaign in 2020. The campaign came with 3 key pillars: Be Planet, Be Human, Be Well, which were supposed to guide their climate initiatives. It was basically an ambition to focus on climate and Earth, like reducing greenhouse gas emissions, reusing water, reducing waste, and reusing packaging. Some of the ambitions for 2025 were to use at least 75% sustainable materials in products, cut single-use plastic packaging by half, and reduce freshwater use by 20%. They also promised to make 100% of products sustainable by 2030. But the question is it just to convince their customers, or do they really care about the climate? Stand Earth, a non-profit environmental advocacy organization, has filed a complaint with Canada's Competition Bureau against Lululemon, pointing out brands' deceptive advertising and greenwashing tactics. But this isn't the first time Lululemon has found itself under scrutiny. Back in 2022, hundreds of yoga teachers called out the company's reliance on coal-powered factories. Despite Lululemon's claims of environmental responsibility, these factories were almost entirely dependent on coal and other fossil fuels. Instead of reducing emissions, Lululemon's carbon footprint increased by a shocking 60% in just 1 year. So why does this matter to you as consumer? Because Lululemon's actions reflect a deeper problem rooted in the entire fashion industry. Today, the fashion sector is responsible for 1.2 billion tons of greenhouse gas emissions annually, more than the combined emissions of France, Germany, and the UK. Greenwashing doesn't just undermine progress, it betrays consumer trust. When brands sell false promises, they shift the burden of environmental responsibility onto consumers. Feel-good slogans like, buy this eco-friendly yoga mat and you're saving the planet, don't offset the damage caused by unchecked production and emissions. Without systemic change and genuine accountability, these claims are just a smokescreen. Which brings us back to Lululemon's response to the accusations. The brand stood firm, stating, "We are confident in this campaign, and there will be no infringement at the end of this investigation," and even pointed out their $10 million donation. But here's the problem. Big donations and lofty statements mean little without transparency and measurable progress to back them up. This isn't just a Lululemon issue. Giants like H&M, Zara, and Uniqlo have also faced accusations of greenwashing, highlighting a systemic problem in the fashion industry. And as consumers, we're left with more questions than answers. What kind of impact are these products leaving behind? Who is making them? And under what conditions? And most importantly, can we even trust these claims? What can we do as consumers? Our responsibility is to avoid using brands that are greenwashed and
Dressed in oil? I've never seen that.
avoid using products that are made of plastic. We should adopt more and more sustainable clothing like cotton, linen, organic wool, and others. However, it's hard for consumers to determine whether a brand they use is helping the environment. This is where EcoCreds come into play. At EcoCreds, we help brands like Lululemon track every piece of waste.
Okay. Lululemon dressing us in oil. Sucks. So Lululemon won. Hands Lululemon a win in greenwashing action. The heck is that supposed to mean? Okay, let's see if we can find any other things. I'm using Google, yes, but let me see if I can find something. Got it. Okay, so it says the Canadian athleisure brand has staffed off a class action lawsuit from a group of plaintiffs through the U.S. who allege has taken advantage of consumers and their trust through massive global greenwashing campaign. Oh my goodness. Oh. So it was related to their Be Planet campaign. Let's see if we can watch that campaign or see what that's about. I've not heard of this whatsoever. Lululemon Be Planet campaign. I haven't heard of this. Let me see what Stand Earth has to say first.
We are Lululemon. We have a vision for our products and actions to avoid environmental harm and contribute to restoring a healthy planet. We are Lululemon. Our purpose comes to life every day through our actions to drive meaningful, positive change in the world. We are Lululemon. Be human. We are Lululemon. Be well. We are Lululemon. Be planet.
Lululemon says it wants to do good, but it uses coal power to make its products. Burning coal is killing this planet. Coal pollution is suffocating people. Lululemon, is it worth burning the planet for a pair of leggings?
Dang. They're not being easy with Lululemon. Okay. Is it worth burning the planet for leggings? Oh my gosh. Lulucoal.com. What the heck? I have never heard of this. What's their target? Like, what do they want to do? It's not showing up. Oh my gosh, why? Let me put it in here. I think they took down the website, Lulucoal. Or got taken down. So it seems like they won against Stand Earth, against greenwashing claims against them. Oh my gosh. Wait, what? Here, let's put the robot voice to read this. It's way too much legal stuff for me to read.
Amandeep Jayani filed the original complaint in a Florida court last year, and a group of additional plaintiffs co-filed an amended complaint alongside Jayani in September 2024. Effectively, the group argued that they had been financially harmed by Lululemon's marketing activities, specifically pertaining to the company's Be Planet campaign, but Lululemon clapped back, asking the court to dismiss the lawsuit on a number of grounds, including lack of jurisdiction in the matter and the company's opinion that the plaintiffs had failed to provide sufficient evidence to prove that Lululemon's statements and sustainability goals caused direct injury. Not one of the plaintiffs pleads which of Lululemon's statements, if any, they saw, when they purportedly saw the statements, when they purportedly purchased Lululemon products as a result of the statements, or which Lululemon products they purportedly purchased. Counsel for Lululemon wrote in the motion to dismiss, filed just 2 weeks after plaintiffs filed their amended complaint.
What? Someone needs to put this in English. What is it saying? Okay, so there's just mere allegations of greenwashing. So it seems like they were not able to be effectively penalized or criminalized for making greenwashing claims like Stand Earth says they were doing. So now they're just gonna show the immediate harm from purchasing products as they are. Interesting. So the judges sided with Lululemon, and they're supposedly committed to making impactful work and drive meaningful progress. Interesting. I wonder what other claims or other things people were saying against Lululemon. Let's see this news say. Let me turn off the background music. Okay, let's go here. Is it here? Yes. It seems like this has been happening for a while. This was 9 months ago that this video was released.
Canada's corporate watchdog is investigating Lululemon. An environmental group says it asked the Competition Bureau to examine whether Lululemon's claims about its environmental impact are false and misleading. Lululemon made almost $10 billion in net revenue last year, and Team Canada athletes will wear the brand at this year's Olympics. The firm has committed to using 75% sustainable materials by next year. And the 2020 Be Planet campaign claims our products and actions avoid environmental harm and contribute to restoring a healthy planet.
What we've learned over the last 2 years really is that that kind of image is not much more than a facade.
Advocacy group Stand Earth asked the Competition Bureau to investigate. Lululemon's yearly reports show more than 60% of their clothing is made from polyester and nylon, which are made from fossil fuels. And the reports show the company's greenhouse gas emissions increased nearly 26% from 2021 to 2022. Stand Earth wants the campaign withdrawn, the company to apologize, and to pay up to 3% of their worldwide gross revenue, worth millions of dollars, to climate mitigation. Global News asked Lululemon for comment, but did not hear back by deadline. Nathaniel Dove, Global News.
So Lululemon won this time, but I think maybe Stand Earth demonized them a bit too much. The narrative was a bit too intense. But I don't know why the judge gave the reason to Lululemon. It didn't really cover that within the article, to be honest. But Marissa says in the comments, I wish companies would be transparent about their current environmental impact so they can be held accountable to the 50% reductions, etc. I mean, yeah, I agree. Like, it's kind of hard to know, like, whether or not they're really destroying the earth, like Stand Earth is saying, or they're actually trying. It's just, we don't know. Like, they give out these reports, right? But they're so long. They're in this jargon wording. I have no idea what language they're speaking in, even though it's in English. And then to get to the point is, like, hard. It's really hard to like, see in these reports. I wish they could be very clear-cut, very concise, and very transparent about everything and make it into an accessible, like, handout or social media post or statement. Like, it doesn't have to be in a 20-page report that's just too complex for the average person to understand. But it's good if it includes a lot of data. It's just it has to be accessible and actually informative of, like, what's happening. That's my opinion, obviously, but maybe we do need 20 pages of, like, what they're doing, yet it says nothing at all at the same time, because I think that's what's happening. They're not really saying what's happening, which is unfortunate. And a lot of brands are not saying the truth whatsoever, and they keep getting to produce more of their stuff, which we don't need. That's what I have a problem with. We don't need more stuff. We don't need more leggings. We can buy them used, honestly. I don't know why we need them new, but I'm gonna move on. Before I move on, Marissa says, for companies that sell plastic clothing, I wish I had a buyback program to where they recycle their clothing back into the production. Yeah, that would be ideal, especially because, like, plastic is a very durable material. I know clothing is not, made to last, but hopefully they find ways to upcycle them or put especially durable pieces back into the market. That would be ideal. There's, like, so much life left for them. There is. So I agree. Like, we definitely need a buyback program and ways to, like, keep it circulating. But yeah, moving on, there is something that caught my eye. So I was scrolling on social media and I saw this post that says AI for sweatshops. Why Combinator? I don't know what that is. Combinator startup slammed for its new deleted dystopian surveillance video. So basically the video is where they're like surveilling a garment production site where it tracks factory workers in real time to flag underperformance. It kind of reminded me of Amazon and how they like survey them and time how long it takes for them to perform. And they explain that this is like a moral dilemma. On one hand, manufacturers would want to pay for this tech, you know, to ensure success and efficiency within their factories. But on the other hand, it risks perpetuating sweatshops and their exploitative working conditions, or at least in my head, to further sweatshops and to further exploitation. So let's watch this.
That's bad. Let me call my supervisor. Vivan, have you been taking a look at line 6? It's not doing well at all.
On it, sir. Alright, let's see the Optify dashboard and see what's the issue with line 6. Oh, it's workspace 17. Workspace 17 is the bottleneck, the worst performing workspace here. Hey, number 17, what's going on, man? You're in red.
I've been working all day.
Been working all day? You haven't hit your hourly output even once today. And you're at 11.4% efficiency. This is really bad.
It's just been a rough day.
Rough day? More
This
like
is
a
so
rough
cruel.
month.
This is turning literal humans into work machines. This is so inhumane and it like disgusts me. And these are like Gen Z college students, I feel like, that are like coming up with theories on how to increase efficiency, but these are just numbers. They're not seeing the garment workers as people. These are basically numbers to exploit more and more vulnerable communities. That's really what it is. Hidden behind a skit that they later deleted. Like, this is not funny. And it's all for what? To what? Promote efficiency? Like, this is so inhumane. It's not.
37% line efficiency? That's bad. Let me call my supervisor.
It's not okay.
Vivan, have you been taking a look at line 6? It's not doing well at all.
On it, sir. Alright, let's see the Optify dashboard and see what's the issue with line 6. Oh, it's workspace 17. Workspace 17 is the bottleneck, the worst performing workspace here. Hey, number 17, what's going on, man? You're in
Number
red.
17?
I've been working all day.
Been working all day?
Did you hear that? Number 17, you are red. Not hi, you know, Mark or whatever your name is. No, number 17, you are in the red. Work harder. What the hell is this? What is this? This makes my heart hurt so much.
You haven't hit your hourly output even once today. And you're at 11.4% efficiency. This is really bad.
It's just been a rough day.
Rough day? More like a rough month.
Rough month. No, it's not like we're tired and exploited every single day. I feel like AI can make fast fashion worse, and I think this is a key example. Obviously, we're just further going to be turned into numbers, and I really ache for garment workers that are already, you know, working so many hours every day to make it and to survive. One of the questions here in the chat, or I mean in the caption, it says is this the future of work, or are we heading towards a dystopian labor force controlled by AI? If we turn to this, if manufacturers turn to this, especially in the fashion industry, especially for sweatshops, we are so screwed as a human race, as a collective. Marissa says the lack of humanity is disgusting. My heart genuinely hurts. Like, I am so pissed. Like, how are people capable of doing this? Like, there's so much more than numbers. Like, people naturally get tired. They naturally wear out at the end of the day. And if they can't meet, you know, quotas or their top line efficiency, like, that's part of being human. They can't be 100% on top of their game all the time. You know, like, I barely did anything today and I had to go take a nap because I'm human. Like, have some support for people. Like, we're not always going to be the best top performing. We're not always going to do things super fast or super well. It's so unrealistic, especially if you're working like 12 hours every single day or more and facing harassment by your managers. This is just the next level of inhumane exploitation in the name of efficiency and profit goals. Like, no. And they deleted the video though. So I think it kind of shows that they're aware of the backlash, but I'm not sure if they're aware of the moral dilemma that they are in, because they really need to reflect on their morals here if they're actually going to push this to keep moving forward. Combinator? How do you even say that? Combinator? W Combinator. That's a startup. I really do hope they grow some compassion in their hearts after the backlash. That's all I'm going to say. I don't wish ill on anyone, but they really need to grow up real fast to have a heart. To move on. So one of the good news, well, something good that's been happening is people are rewearing more stuff. Especially on the red carpet. So Lily, she was actually seen rewearing a dress. I love Remake. If you don't follow them, you should follow them. But basically, I did a cool feature here, highlighting how she had worn this dress last year. She combined like new earrings this time. Last time she had a necklace, but still very beautiful, still very in the element of, you know, what she was attending, which is like a high profile, you know, event. And she still made it work, and like she was unafraid to do it. So I love to see this. What's the dress? I wonder what brand it is. She rewore her custom gown. Oh, it's a custom gown. Originally designed in collaboration with Indigenous artist Joe Big Mountain for the 2024 Vanity Fair Oscar party. I love to see it. And she uses her platform to uplift Indigenous artistry and promote mindful fashion choices, and sets an example for an industry in need of change. Yeah, after what we just went through with the other news bit, yeah, we need some change real fast. So I love to see this. Susty Queen. I love to see it. She looks so good in that dress. I love the little details right here. This matches exactly with her earrings. So pretty. I love to see it. I'm gonna put my background music. I gotta bring the good vibes back. Okay, so another thing that I saw. Oh, one thing that I'm super excited about is that I live in Chicago, and there's so much sustainable fashion stuff happening. As of late, I've never seen so much energy for sustainable fashion before in my city, but this is a really cool thing that hopefully inspires you or inspires other organizations to start up, where there's going to be like a size inclusive clothing swap, March 9th. I think I'm going to go, but basically it's in collaboration with so many different organizations and people. And I think this is like, again, the example of how to do it. It's going to be hosted at a nature museum. There's going to be like coffee, vegan food, allergy-friendly treats, and admission for the clothing swap is free, but access to the rest of the museum is kind of closed off. You have to pay for the ticket. So I love to see it. And it's actually being, I think, done in collaboration with Conscious Style, which is a platform by Elizabeth Joy. I've been following her for quite a while. She's a really great leader in sustainable fashion. So if you haven't checked out her account, it's called Conscious Style, and she does a bunch of like informative like mini guides. So it like gives you information about certain topics like clothing swaps, how much is discarded every year, key information bits here and there. So if you want to learn and keep up to date with slow fashion, very great place to learn. Yeah, she is actually doing it in collaboration with them. Oh, and then I saw this like new platform called Sustainable Fashion Week Chicago. It's relatively new, but they're also doing the collaboration for this clothing swap, and then they're actually helping launch a sustainable fashion show April 22nd called the Blue Paradox, and hopefully it gets more designers a like platform, so they're recruiting fashion students from like Saks, Columbia, Harper College, College of DuPage, Dominican University to have their designs featured here. I went to Dominican University, so that's really cool to see. And then they get a $500 cash stipend if they participate. And then they actually made it into the news. So we'll watch that. But before we do, Marissa says, I went to my first clothing swap for a few months back. It was so fun. I hope you get to go. Yeah, clothing swaps are so fun. It's just I have a hard time not grabbing everything. I'm like, there's so many pretty things. So I have to limit myself. But I always try to grab only as much as I brought in. So if I brought in 3 items, I try only to grab 3 items. If I donate 2 things, I only try to grab 2 things back. So hopefully that limits me in the future. That's my goal. That's my goal at least. But it's really cool when sustainable fashion gets on news. And Chicago Today basically promoted the sustainable fashion show that's going to happen in April. So excited to see that.
Before we let you go, we want to tell you about a great opportunity for up-and-coming fashion designers.
You can apply to showcase your work in the Blue Paradox Sustainable Fashion Show. Details are on the screen.
Yeah, there you go. So, oh, sorry, that was your line. Now, this is a special Earth Day event at the Museum of Science and Industry that I'm hosting along with fashion industry icon Nigel Barker.
It's part of a Sustainable Fashion Week. Designers who are selected will get a $500 cash stipend. The application deadline is March 7th, so apply now to be considered.
Yes. All right, that does it for us, everyone. Thank you to all of our guests.
Yes. I love this. I feel like sustainable fashion is like slowly getting movement and traction. I love this so much. I love it so much. But to get into other things, I actually saw this really cool video by Bliss Foster. I've been following him for quite a while now. He does like fashion critique videos, but he's been doing more IRL content, and he actually went to Berlin Fashion Week, and his video is so thorough and provides so much context behind the reason why designers are designing, how they were made. A lot of it is actually really sustainably made from like dead stock materials. Craftsmanship was used. A lot of intentionality basically was infused in the collections, and he takes us through his journey. I think I'm gonna probably watch like the first 20 minutes of it, and then you can go off and watch it on your own. But if you're looking for a content creator that does like very long videos, I definitely recommend him, especially because he has a really good eye in analyzing fashion and analyzing, you know, emerging local designers, and has a really good grasp on what's happening in fashion shows and in the fashion industry in general. So we should definitely watch this. He's really cool.
World's weirdest city,
Wait,
Berlin.
let me.
Welcome to the most unhinged fashion week in the world's weirdest city, Berlin, baby. My name is Bliss Foster. Me and my wife Daniela are independent fashion critics who typically cover Paris Fashion Week, but we can't stay away for long from the primordial soup of potential that is Berlin Fashion Week. The gargantuan budgets of Paris are nowhere to be found here. This fashion week is about raw ideas and raw execution. Let's jump straight in. We'll start with a banger. One of the clearest visions at Berlin Fashion Week. The Luda Batoli brand is excellent at executing unsettling presentations. To begin, this room couldn't be more perfect. It has this eyes wide shut, or kind of a Lynchian feel to it. The grand piano that never got played was a nice touch as well. But this is par for the course with Luda Batoli. When we saw their work over 2 years ago at our last Berlin Fashion Week, it was the same story. A terrifying show at this surreal wedding venue. I'm really happy to say that this brand seems to be fully realizing their own vision now. So many of the ensembles look as if they're melting on the runway in front of you. There's this wonderful organic look to everything. I'll give you some examples. These black gloves give the appearance that the model's hand was just like dipped in tar. And the opening look was this warped, shredded, and stretched houndstooth pattern. The Lululemon that I remember from our last visit came out in these looks where sections of cloth are artfully twisted and worked to give the appearance that the dress is beautifully bursting apart. But what I loved was that we had so much variety in a single collection that still brought excellent cohesion. These fuzzy knitted looks, jumping to these beautiful nude illusion looks, jumping over to this deconstructed wet look, to this exploded skirt suit look, to the handful of kind of salacious bridal looks near the end of the show. Each of these categories further filled out the Lululemon universe, but more importantly, they carried me along with them the whole show. It's hard to have an extreme vision as a fashion designer, but it is nearly impossible to make an extreme vision believable for your audience. When the music stopped and the lights came back on, I was sorry that I couldn't stay in that world a little bit longer. I think that is the highest compliment that I can pay to a young designer.
Same.
GmbH has been showing for years in different fashion capitals. We've covered their work in Paris a few years back, and they're now back in their hometown in Berlin to show. We were really excited to cover them on their home turf. The interior of the room was covered in undyed muslin cloth, which they apparently will be continuing to use in their studio to make samples for the next show and maybe even the show after that. There was a lot of muslin in there. This is the undyed white plain weave cloth that is used to make the prototypes of fashion ideas before you're ready to make it in the final material. Serhat and Benjamin, the founders and creative directors at GmbH, are excellent at articulating themselves. Their show notes were by far the longest of the week, and the rest of this video, honestly, not just this segment, but the whole video could be dedicated to the detailed nuances in that pamphlet. But I kind of wanted to offer thoughts about these designs outside of their direct personal context for the designers before we hear directly from the men themselves. Both designers come from families of well-dressed men, and much of this collection feels very automatic, like the kind of thing where if you've just been around suits your whole life, this is an idea that just came out of you. We have styling details and thematic details like the ones seen in these looks here, but then there's ideas like in look 11 or 12 where the boots are just taking over the entire outfit. And in the right context, I think this looks fantastic. Even if you take one of the more toned down versions of this same idea in this oxblood color, the shape of the much smaller boots with the suit just clicks into place so perfectly. This is what I meant by automatic. If you see someone who is wearing very traditional suits your entire life, you might always dream of these fetishistic, powerful boots being added into the mix. And also for so many men, an oxblood
I don't know what I just said, but basically I think he was implying if you like suits and been raised with suits and you add a good funky boot, you're gonna fetishize them, and that's just a natural thing to do. Bless has some interesting analysis. I don't agree 100% of what he often says, but he's a good analyzer of what like things generally mean on the most part. But I love when he features the designers and we can hear directly from them. And I think that's coming up right now.
Suit is like the final move, big power play. After the show, we went backstage to briefly catch up with the designers.
Hey guys, can we get a few words on camera from you possibly?
Yeah, sure, yes.
Great. So your work is my revenge is something that was in the show notes that your father said. Whose father was that?
My father, yeah.
What did your dad, I mean, first of all, that's incredibly badass. What did your dad mean by that?
Well, I think he was just, he came to Norway as a Pakistani and he actually wanted to work in fashion and never was really able to. I mean, I think my interest in fashion I really got from him. He still dresses immaculately, and I think, so that sums it up.
Very cool. Yeah. So, but I feel like that's kind of like when someone goes into the arts, it's always like, oh, dad doesn't get it and stuff. And then like you got kind of the ultimate like check of approval from dad, which is pretty cool. You both are inherently pretty political. You're a lot of your body of work kind of speaks to immigration and moving to different places and stuff, and kind of the cultural reaction to a lot of that.
Yeah.
Could you kind of put this show into context in the terms of the wider GmbH brand?
Yes, the show is inspired a lot by our fathers. I mean, it literally started with us even looking into old family albums and the sense of dressing of our fathers, but also into our archives and into our own codes and the sense of dressing and silhouettes that we've explored throughout the seasons, and with the revenge necklines, to not give up on those ideas and really show those pieces that had actually never been shown on runways before because they were lockdown collections. So yeah, this is very much us going to our roots and celebrating it.
Guys, thank you so much.
Thank
Beautiful
you so
show.
much. Thank you.
I really love when these sort of designers make it to like Berlin Fashion Week. I think they're showing signs of resistance against, you know, the setbacks their family may have faced to assimilate or to make it into a new country. And as like immigrants themselves or children of immigrants, it's, I feel like so amazing to see that they've been able to reach like Berlin Fashion Week. So I'm really, really excited to see what they continue to do. And I must imagine that the dad must feel so proud of his son for being able to reach, you know, these sort of heights of success. So this is great. This is great to see. And I also love how Bliss mentioned that their work is political. Like, political fashion can happen on a runway and it can make a statement and it can resonate with people despite it being in, you know, Berlin Fashion Week. Like, there's always space to talk about the truth and talk about culture, talk about the reality that people go through, and still be so artistic and expressive and just skilled in what you do along the process.
Yeah, definitely. Next up was OBS, a brand that largely deals with accessories, especially bags. I think they looked around in the market and saw that brands like the bag company Pullen, for example, that focus on delivering good quality accessories. I think the brothers who founded OBS saw that their competitors in this space usually are pretty voiceless. Like, brands like Pullen offer nice bags, but there's no context with it. There's no story, no world building. So OBS...
That's kind of what I notice fashion designers are struggling with. It's like knowing what story to tell. But often enough, I think designers, maybe this is a hypothesis, but maybe they're just creating to create because they either like the fabric or they like some sort of inspiration that they saw, came across one day when they're trying to figure out what collection to make. But there's like nothing of substance. There's no story there. It's just mere creation for the sake of creation. But I think one of the beautiful things about sustainability and ethics is that you inherently have this whole other purpose, whole other mission or story that you're telling. So even if, like, quote unquote, the collection itself doesn't inherently mean anything, but it's made sustainably and ethically, that in itself can be the story. So you don't have to like scrape and scrape and scrape for something that maybe is not even there. Like, for example, let's say I make a whole denim collection and inherently it doesn't have any deeper meaning besides it's just ethical and sustainable. I think just it being sustainable and ethical is all that it ever needs to be, given everything that's happening in the planet. I mean, I think as someone that has a beautiful Mexican culture, I'm always going to infuse my culture in my collections. I'm always going to infuse artisanry, skill, and also sustainability and ethics, obviously. But it's kind of hard for me to grapple with the fact that some designers have nothing to work with and are scraping by to see what to work with. That to the point where they're like making a fashion show with like construction gear to create some dimension into the collections. But we're all at a different point, obviously, but I hope more fashion designers adopt sustainability and ethics, not only for its ability to give a story, but also for its positive impact.
Seems to be using presentations like this to gain a competitive advantage against those competitors. The whole vibe of the presentation matched the kind of bags that OBS sells. It's meant to be these kind of hard-edged, masculine box bags, which are all made in Germany, I found out. The indoor space for the show was converted into a construction zone. It featured one of my favorite modern inventions, a nighttime light solution for highway construction. These massive light systems have always seemed so beautifully foreboding to me. Models emerged slowly, walked the runway, and then took their places to do a series of construction tasks. Some folks were painting a wall in the background. Someone was tumbling rocks. Someone was assembling designer furniture. And another dude picked.
This is literally so ridiculous. This is like small talk, but make it luxury fashion. Like, there is no need for construction workers. There really isn't. But you should definitely watch the other fashion shows that they have in this video. Like, he featured Rosa. You can take a look at that after the commercial. But just like knowing the nuance of local like young fashion designers trying to make it is so cool to see.
But at the same time, we looked at periods like, for example, persons also like Peter Hurty, who took these things like uniforms, just made them their own and really take them out of this context that has anything to do with war or military.
Able to see it for its beauty,
Exactly. And
I feel like fashion designers can like take meaning in anything. I don't think it's necessarily good that she like extracted the war / political element out of what she created, but I mean that's just her journey right now. I don't agree, but you know, some designers just want the aesthetics and not the deeper meaning sometimes. Okay, and then we're just gonna watch this and then we're gonna move on.
Every collection has its own particular start, I would say. Sometimes it starts with a postcard, and sometimes it starts with a plastic bag where we like the color, and sometimes it starts with an exhibition we have seen.
What was the start for this collection?
This collection, we went to Vienna. I have to say, for the one you see now, we went to Vienna and we saw an exhibition in the Museum für Angewandte Kunst with Dagobert Peche. He was an artist in the last century, beginning of the last century, during Wiener Werkstätte.
He was a kind of all-round genius. He was also doing interiors and fabric prints and postcards.
So, and that's what we like, and that's what we were inspired also by doing this room. These are 238 portraits, Otto, you did on the iPad.
Made all of the portraits. Wow.
Yes.
See, this is the thing with you guys, because where do you get time to do this stuff? Like,
we live on the countryside.
Oh well, we're
not Berliners.
That's the same for us. It really does help, doesn't it? When there's no distractions of dinner.
I saw you in your videos, and you can see that it's not in New York.
Yes. Well, any particular looks that you're like especially proud of?
Oh, a lot. I mean, these kind of installations and shows always force you to think, as you say in English, to push the envelope. And I think that there are things happened in the last week that we didn't think of that we would do it. So it's a show provokes you in order to think different. When we're not doing a show or an installation, you think more in this, it's for the showroom, it's for sales, it's for retail, but a show moment always provokes this thing. What is the new aspect?
Guys, thank you so much. Your stuff is great. I really enjoy it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave that there. Again, Bliss Foster. I'm subscribed to him on my personal channel. I'll subscribe on my legit YouTube channel that I'm live streaming off of, but he's really great to watch and to listen to. Again, I don't 100% agree with all his analysis, but I do think he is someone that you can turn to understand fashion shows, get a deep dive, inside look to, like, let's say Berlin Fashion Week. So definitely check him out. I've been generally following him for a couple years now. So to move on, I actually want to move into the social justice-y part of the live stream. I'm probably going to hop off in like a couple minutes, but basically there's two things I want to talk about. So one of them is that Starbucks recently decided to stand up for the laid off corporate workers that were laid off like a year ago, I can say. I actually came across this social media post where it basically explains that as Starbucks Workers United, they are basically going to stand against the layoffs for 1,000 corporate partners, because in 2023, Starbucks corporate workers bravely spoke out in solidarity with our union movement and our fight to fair contracts. Now, as Starbucks lays off 1,000 corporate partners, we are raising our voices in solidarity with them. So back to Starbucks cannot mean failing to value partners. So basically, the CEO actually made $800,000 a day in 2024, which is crazy. So clearly Starbucks can and must do more to value the partners at every level who are working towards a better future at this company, which I love and love and love to see. And then it says decisions like these show us that corporate workers must unionize to protect themselves and their fellow workers in the industry. So I love this statement. I think there's just so much greed within these major corporations like Starbucks. So if you can, please go to your local, let's say, cafe instead of going to Starbucks. Try to support, just like the entrepreneurs of our world versus, these greedy mofos, basically. But if you want to know more about what's happening with the worker rights for Starbucks workers, you can follow Starbucks Workers United. It's a union that's coming together to create a better workplace for all. And it has a lot of stores that are represented, and they have about 10,000 plus workers. So that is something to know. And there's also a civil disobedience and the civil rights movement teach-in that's happening March 3rd, where basically you're going to learn from Robin Kelly and basically talk about like the legacy of civil disobedience and how a powerful movement building tactic helped win worker rights and help social movements really win. So this is, I think, happening online, to be honest. I can check right here. But I would love actually to go. I don't know if those are fireworks or gunshots in the background, but something's happening. I think it's online. Yeah, it's a Zoom link. So that will happen March 3rd. I think that's actually a Monday. When I'm live streaming, so I'm probably not going to be able to go, but if you want to show up to a Starbucks union initiative, you can definitely learn for this case with Robin. So that's another resource. So to move on, I actually want to end off with Bernie Sanders. What is happening outside? Hopefully those are fireworks. But yeah, Bernie Sanders recently made efforts to basically stand and fight against, or not stand with, but fight against the oligarchy. So here is a huge live stream that he did. And now we're going to listen a bit about what he had to say. Let's skip forward. Okay, he's coming on the stage now.
Thank you, Omaha!
I feel like me and Bernie have the same problem of yelling into the mic. I love it.
Let me begin by thanking all of you for coming out. What a turnout. Thank you very much. Let me thank Eric Williams for his remarks, Precious McKesson, and a special word to Ron Kaminsky of the Laborers Union. When we were originally planning the trip here to Omaha, we were going to do it at the Laborers Union Hall, but then the RSVPs started to come in. So we told Ronnie, if you have to break down the walls or we're going someplace else, here we are. Thank you again. So, why am I here in Omaha, Nebraska tonight? Why will I be going to Iowa City tomorrow? Why do we intend as progressives to go to every corner of this country? And the answer is pretty obvious. This country today, under Trump, faces a series of crises unprecedented in our modern history. And what we do now will impact not only our lives, but the lives of our kids, grandchildren, future generations, and whether the planet itself survives. I'm here in Omaha because the time to act is now. The time to fight back is now. And let me give you some good news and bad news. The bad news is that in my view, and I have some knowledge and experience in this as a U.S. Senator, Trumpism will not be defeated by politicians inside the D.C. Beltway. That is not going to happen. It will be defeated by millions of Americans in Nebraska, in Iowa, in Vermont, and all over this country. Who come together at the grassroots level like we are doing tonight in a movement which says no to oligarchy, no to authoritarianism, no to kleptocracy, no to massive cuts in programs that the working class desperately needs, and no to huge tax breaks for the billionaires and the 1%. And that, my friends, is why we're here in Omaha tonight. So let me tell you what, in my view, is going on in our country today. First, we are rapidly moving toward an oligarchic form of society in which a handful of multi-billionaires not only have extraordinary wealth, but unprecedented economic, media, and political power. And this is no great secret. What I will say about Trump, he's out front. He shows you what he's doing. I was there at the inauguration, and seated right behind Trump was Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg, the three. You know those guys. They are the three.
Oh my gosh. I was seated behind them. Yeah, we saw, dude. We saw. He looks so pissed, as he should. Wow, he's still at it. I'm still impressed with Bernie. He does not give up.
wealthiest people in America, right behind the president as he's getting sworn in. But that's not enough. Behind those guys are the kind of poor billionaires. They only are worth 10, 20 billion. 13 of them who were nominated by Trump to be in his cabinet.
Democracy.
But it is not only that Trump is surrounded and working for the wealthiest people in this country. That is one reality. Let me tell you another reality that I know that many of you know all too well. And that is that while the people on top have never ever had it so good, the working families of our country in Vermont, Nebraska, all over this country are struggling to just make ends meet.
Guys, I literally interviewed today for a receptionist job that will pay $15 an hour, and I have 2 college degrees. We're so cooked. I believe in democracy so much, guys. I truly do. We're in such times of prosperity. Bernie, what are you talking about? We got billionaires behind Trump. We're in a good spot, aren't we? I thought like the billionaires and millionaires were supposed to help us. Like, they should, right? Well, I don't think Bernie thinks that's true.
All over this country, major housing crisis. All over this country, major health care crisis. All over this country, the price of food going up at the grocery store. Cost of childcare, college, unaffordable. And working people are struggling. They're struggling to pay the bills. Older people are wondering how they can put aside a few bucks so maybe they can just...
Stop calling me out. I'm just trying my best. I'm just a girl. Dang. God, Bernie, give me a break. I don't got no money.
retire with a little bit of dignity here in the richest country in the history of the world.
Yes. Number 1.
So in America today, right now, you don't see it much on TV or in the papers, but right now, we have more income and wealth inequality than we have ever had in the history of the United States.
Democracy!
Those 3 guys, Musk, Bezos, and Zuckerberg, who stood behind Donald Trump, have more wealth than the bottom half of American society, 170 million people. Today, the top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 90%. And while the very wealthiest people become phenomenally richer, there is another reality. Because we are living in 2 Americas. For the people on top, never ever has it been so good. But for working people, the struggle continues just to survive.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are in survival mode. The amount of credit card debt we're in is crazy, and we're just using it to survive. Like food, rent, gas, basic needs. We are so cooked as a society, and I always wonder, where's the money going to? It's just going to 3 white men.
If you can believe it, and again, we don't talk about it enough, 60% of our people in America today are living paycheck to paycheck. You all know what that
60%, that's crazy.
means? I grew up in a family, in a rent-controlled apartment. We lived paycheck to paycheck. And I will never forget the stress that my parents dealt with every day in terms of how they pay the bills, how they provide for their kids. That is what 60% of our people in this country today are dealing with. In America today, 85 million of our people are uninsured or underinsured.
I don't even know if I got insurance. Guys, I'm winging it. Please don't hit me.
Now, you don't hear about it much. I was chairman of the committee that dealt with this stuff. Over 60,000 Americans die every year because they cannot afford to go to a doctor. 1 out of 4 Americans cannot afford the outrageously high cost of prescription drugs that the pharmaceutical industry charges us. 20 million Americans are living, trying to survive on wages less than $15 an hour. 25% of our senior citizens are trying to live on incomes of $15,000 a year or less. Can you believe that? I don't know. I frankly don't know.
I've actually lived off of like $20,000 a year for like the past 2 years. Well, that was 2023 and 2024. I used to work like an average 26 hours a week at a local thrift store in Montana. I was lucky enough that my rent actually only cost about from $400 to $600, and that was the only way I was able to survive. I could have worked more hours, but I was dealing with mental health issues, and I didn't want to actually go to the doctor in Montana because I was afraid that if I moved back to Illinois, I would lose my health care, especially because I didn't know the process of how state help could transfer from one state to another. So I just didn't want to touch it. I never went to the doctor here in Illinois. But basically, I've only been earning like $20K around there, 2023 and 2024. And in 2025, I'm on a route to earn much less. So like what Bernie is saying about how people are scraping by is very true. And I truly understand it on a first-hand basis. I may be lucky to make like 10K this year because on how the job market is going with $15 an hour for a receptionist job, I don't think I'm going to make much. We're in scary times.
How anybody, let alone a senior who has higher health care needs, how does anybody live on $15,000 a year or less? And yet the rich get richer, and that is the reality for working families. But when we talk about oligarchy and what's going on in this country, it's not just that the rich are getting richer while working families struggle. Oligarchy is about political power in a way that we have never seen in the history of America. It's about people like Elon Musk contributing $270 million to Trump's election campaign. But it's not just Musk. It is not just Musk, and it is not just Republicans. Billionaires contribute to the Democratic Party as well. And that is why if we're going to restore democracy to this country, we got to get rid of the Citizens United Supreme Court decision. Democracy is not about billionaires buying elections. It's about one person, one vote. And that is why, in my view, we've got to move to public funding of elections. And let me tell you how bad and corrupt the situation is. Musk himself not only has contributed a huge amount of money to Trump, and as a result got his reward of being the most important person in the Trump administration, he is also playing a major role with his wealth all over the world. In Germany tomorrow, very important election, Musk has supported a right-wing extremist party. And to tell you how crazy it is, how arrogant these people are, in your neighboring state of Wisconsin, they're having an election for a Supreme Court justice. Not the most important position in the world. But it appears that one of the candidates believes that a woman has the right to control her own body. And if you can believe it, Elon Musk is getting involved in that campaign to defeat that candidate.
Wisconsin is like 2 hours away from me. I'm scared.
So let's be clear. When we are taking on Trumpism, we are taking on oligarchy. And you know, lately I have been remembering, I remember both what I learned in probably the 6th grade, but also every year in a city called Vergennes, Vermont, I go to the Memorial Day parade. It's a beautiful event. And every year we go up on the platform and the people who do the parade bring up some high school kid to read Abraham Lincoln's speech at Gettysburg. Okay? And let me tell you what that speech was about and how important it is today.